Most guys think that getting jacked, building the lean aesthetic physique feels like leveling up instantly. As soon as you commit yourself to it, you wake up the next day feeling like a new man. You have the confidence all the girls are attracted to, and you get everything you want. But in reality, it happens in phases, and it's imperative that you understand these phases because first it happens emotionally, then physically, then psychologically. And then you get all the benefits of having the high status physique. But if you aren't aware of these phases, you end up falling off because you can't recognize some of the silent progress you actually make under the surface. The first thing you need to realize, this timeline is based on if you are on a program and a diet that is built around your life and actually yields results. So many guys go to the gym for years training hard, but their habits and their diet do not align with the progress they're trying to make, whether it's building muscle or losing fat. So if you're on the correct program, you will know that this timeline will match up perfectly to what you have experienced when you started seeing progress. Phase 1, day 1 to day 15, or the first few weeks of actually locking in. You're going to be extremely motivated in this time period, but you're still going to be a little bit inconsistent because you haven't really figured out the puzzle piece that actually works for you yet. So you're still in the testing period. You're going to the gym, you're feeling extremely sore. Every single time you train, it feels like you just got hit by a car. You're still not really seeing any physical changes. You're feeling better. You feel better about yourself. You feel a little bit accomplished. You feel like you're moving in the right direction. But physically, you still look pretty much the exact same. You may notice that your muscles are slightly fuller. Just because you see yourself every day, you notice this, but no one else really is going to notice your progress just yet. You may look a little bit slimmer. You may lose a little bit of face fat, but it's not going to be anything drastic. It's only been 2 weeks, but you realize in this time period that you have not been trying your hardest or even close to, and you've been lying to yourself about even putting in any effort into the gym and your diet. This is the moment you realize that you've really been leaving a lot in the tank, and you were not going all in on this pursuit of getting jacked. You were half-assing it. You were being lackadaisical. You were going to the gym, you would work out, you'd scroll on your phone, and you'd diet for 5 days out of the week, but for the other 2, you were eating everything in sight. This is where majority of people end up. As I said before, guys, this timeline will only make sense if you are on the correct program that actually yields results. If you want a full workout routine and diet framework so you can get shredded, build the aesthetic physique, and never need another workout routine ever again, follow me on Instagram at Brasai and DM me the word routine and the word diet, and I will send you over both of those and give you full access to these blueprints. Phase 2, day 15 to day 60, week 2 to week 8. This is the discipline threshold. This is where majority of guys give up and they quit. And why do they quit? Because they're not seeing crazy results. Even if you're in a dieting phase, you're really just losing the first initial bit of fat. And if you're carrying a lot of excess fat, in this period, you're going to see the scale go down 10, 12, maybe even 15 pounds, but it's not going to be that drastic. Why? Because the first 10 to 15 pounds you lose isn't going to yield crazy muscle definition. It's the next 10 to 15 pounds where you really start to see physical changes. In this phase, you're still not jacked yet. Your muscles are definitely starting to look improved. They're starting to look a little bit bigger. You're seeing some vascularity. You're starting to fill out your shirts a little bit more, and you notice these things on a daily basis. You might get a few compliments from family members or people who see you at work every single day saying you've changed. Something looks different about you. Maybe you walk a little bit differently. But you are still at the phase where you feel like giving up, because you've been consistent for 2.5 months, and you still haven't seen crazy results yet. You're going to notice you're starting to get a little bit more hungry because your metabolism's increasing. You start noticing now you go to the gym without even having to think about it. There is no friction between your thought and your action. But a part of you still misses your old habits and routine. You still feel like that comfortable version of yourself goes out on the weekends, doesn't have to track his calories, is much easier way of life. And you start asking, is this even worth it? This is one of the hardest phases, and I see this all the time with people I work with. You've put in a lot of work, but you're still not where you want to be. But this is a huge deciding moment. This is either where your old self dies and you refuse to go back to your old habits, your old way of living, being unconfident, not being proud of who you are, or you create this new identity. This is the shift, and this is really important. You stick through this part. Phase 3, this is day 60 to day 120. This is where you start seeing your first visual changes. Now things are starting to get a little exciting. You start noticing your waist is starting to get tighter. The belt you used to wear every single day to work, you've had to make a few new notches in it. Your pants no longer fit the same. Your shoulders are starting to get rounder and wider. People are starting to really take notice now. Now random people start seeing you as the guy that works out, and they start asking you for advice, what you've done to change. Your clothes fit better, and every single time you walk into a room in small daily interactions, you have 10 times more confidence. You're not afraid to say what you think. You walk in there with your chest up and your chin high. And people notice this on a daily basis. This is where you start getting addicted. And you're not obsessed with your training routine or diet. Those are just a means to the end. What you're really addicted to and obsessed with is your personal evolution, the progress you're making in every single aspect of your life. Because now the physique transformation is starting to bleed and snowball into everything else. And you're starting to see the cascade effect of how your daily life is improving. Now you're starting to set bigger goals. You're starting to be a little bit more ambitious. You're starting to look outside of your physical transformation and starting to look in how you can improve in your career, in your business, in your relationships. And you're really starting to see your future, the vision you have for yourself of your max character. All right, fellas, the fourth phase. This is month 4 to month 8. And this is where you're no longer an average man. You have surpassed the majority of men in the West and anywhere in the world. This is what really separates you. Now you're starting to have visible abs, even if you're not shredded. You start walking into rooms and people take notice. Your face is sharper. You look like a different human being. Every single time you walk past a mirror or look at yourself, you start getting positive validation and you start really going, I am him. I am that guy. Women take notice every single time you go to any public place. The guys at the gym who have been training for a long time and have the good physique start to take notice of you. You're no longer visible in that environment. They start to nod at you, say what's up. You start meeting people that are like-minded. You feel a lot more powerful, not in an aggressive way, in a calm way. You are no longer chasing this physical fitness transformation. It is just becoming a small part of your identity that amplifies every single aspect of your life. Lastly, phase 5. This is month 8 to month 12 and beyond. This is the canon event. This is where you really yield all the benefits of being jacked. You walk differently. You have a different type of confidence. You talk with complete conviction. You look people in the eyes. You start noticing at work, if you work in corporate, they start giving you more opportunities. They start wanting you to speak at conferences. If you're selling a product online or a service, people want to work with you more. No one could ignore the fact that you are a man of consistency and discipline. And your physique is no longer about vanity. It's all about proof. Proof you are a man of your word. Proof you can stick to something for a long time. You no longer have to force yourself to be disciplined. It's now automatic. It's just ingrained in your habits. You command respect without even saying a word. As soon as you enter a room, people treat you differently. It doesn't matter who's in the room. It doesn't matter if it's your CEO, your boss, your girlfriend's parents. It does not matter. They view you from a completely different perspective. And this is where your life starts to stabilize mentally, socially, emotionally. You're more in tune with yourself. You understand what's going on in your head. You no longer have all these thoughts every single night when you try to go to bed. If you are becoming the best version of yourself, you know you're already well on your way and you're doing the things on a daily basis that it takes. Now your mind is a lot more clear and you start realizing everything you do on a daily basis, every action, every conversation, every habit is done with intention to improve yourself. You are no longer relying on impulse and dopamine like majority of people drifting through life currently. You no longer binge eat, you have control over your eating habits, and you only do things for fuel and progression. This is one of the best case scenarios as a man. This is where you truly have evolved. At the end of the day, getting jacked isn't even the goal. The vanity part starts out as the main goal in the beginning, but it starts just becoming proof, a byproduct of the life you are now living, a life with a lot of energy, disciplined, structured. You start noticing you're getting more successful in other areas. You evolve as a man, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. You start realizing the best version of yourself is always something you'll be chasing, and that's one of the best realizations you'll ever have. You are building a life and a body that most men will literally never touch or experience. They will go through life wondering, hoping, and waiting for the perfect time. But you were different. You didn't get stuck in the early stages. You stayed consistent even when you didn't know you were going to succeed. You pushed through the times where it felt like it was impossible, and you got all the rewards from it. You didn't grasp and force this aesthetic life. You let it happen itself through your daily actions. And that's what separates the men with the aesthetic body and the aesthetic life from the average man.